It's not the first time Donald Trump has been accused of sexual assault, far from it. But now author and newspaper columnist E. Jean Carroll has come out with allegations that are not unlike what Donald Trump boasted about in the Access Hollywood tape that emerged right before the 2016 election.
Grab him by the I could do anything.
In an excerpt from her upcoming book, which ran in New York Magazine, Carroll explained that when she ran into Trump at the New York department store Bergdorf Goodman in the mid-'90s, he asked her to help him pick out a gift, and the two ended up in the dressing rooms. Once they got there, Carroll writes, quote, "He lunged at me, pushes me against the wall, hitting my head quite badly, and puts his mouth against my lips. The next moment, he opens the overcoat, unzips his pants, forcing his fingers around my private area, thrusts his penis halfway or completely, I'm not certain, inside me. It turns into a colossal struggle," and she elaborated on CNN just this morning.
It was a fight. I want women to know that I did not stand there. I did not freeze. I was not paralyzed. It was against my will, 100%, and I ran away.
Carroll's allegations have a lot of similarities to those of the 15 other women who have come publicly out to credibly accuse Trump of sexual assault in the past. Of course, since Friday, Trump has emphatically denied the accusations, and the story has largely fallen off the front page. And as the country seems to be moving on, is it just me, or did Joe Biden touching women's shoulders without their permission get far more attention than this? I forgot that my radio co-host Margery Eagan was sticking around for another segment. Sorry about that, Margery. Glad you're here. Along with Jen Deaderick, she's the author of She the People, An Illustrated History of Women's Citizenship. Hi, Jen. And Amanda Hunter is Research and Communications Director for the Barbara Lee Family Foundation, which works with women to help them advance in politics. Great to have you here. Thanks so much. Margery, starting with you, should I be surprised? We did some research today. ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, and CNN on their morning Sunday shows, not one word about this. New York Times, when Biden kissed Lucy Flora's head, 3 major stories plus opinion pieces. This story on the front page of the book section and then page 23. Should I be surprised?
Well, I was surprised, and I think it's totally disgraceful. I said this to you before. If 15 women, and I would add the other 4 teenage girls who said he was watching them undressed in the beauty pageant. If 20 women, or if 20 clerks in a 7-Eleven said, Donald Trump came in and robbed me, and then Donald Trump said, you know, I love to rob 7-Elevens. I can grab those clerks right by the what, but I can get away with it because I'm famous. There would be no question that we had a serial thief on our hands as President of the United States. We have a serial sexual predator, and it's incredible to me, after Me Too, that we put up with this. And by the way, it's nothing like Clinton or JFK or anybody before him.
Well, you can explain that in a minute, but you're nodding in agreement. So if you do agree, why did this get such little play, comparatively speaking?
Well, I think part of it is, well, I keep thinking of it in the bigger terms of the sort of authoritarian nature of his administration, and that he's someone who likes doing outrageous things, awful things, and getting away with them. In the same way that the administration does that, and they overload it. And it's I think we also we know this about him. It's like it's out of character for us to see that Joe Biden might be a little creepy. I think we're at this point.
So as long
as
it's in character, we don't have to give it adequate play.
No, I think we
goes the mind
should.
Of the press person?
I guess so, because I think it's important, and it's also, we knew about him before he was even. So there is a sense of what even power do we have at this point to get rid of him or to end it? We already knew that people would vote for him anyway.
Do you have any explanation for this in terms of the media's inattention? And again, Sunday morning, not a word on the 5 major talk shows. What's your explanation?
Well, I can't speak to the media coverage, but I do think that we're in a completely different cultural moment now than we were in 2016 with the tidal wave of truth-telling and Me Too and all of the things that have come out. We know from our research that women are activated and women are paying attention. A majority of voters said that sexual harassment is a problem in the workplace, and voters across the aisle agreed. So even though the media might not have been paying attention, on social media, people were speaking out a lot. And women are fed up in particular.
But, you know, I hope they're fed up with any man who is doing what Donald Trump's. But I have to say, I'm not buying it. My experience in the media is we, for the most part, give the public what they want. And if women in this country are as fed up as you say, and their attention is heightened because of Me Too since Harvey Weinstein. Why wouldn't the press be covering this?
But there's kids. You know, we're now learning even more about the kids who are sleeping in cages. You know, so I think on top of that, like the president's been accused again of rape versus we really have concrete evidence of these children being mistreated on the border. And I have a friend who's an immigration lawyer, and we were talking about. I saw her yesterday. She's been back and forth to the border over and over again. We're in constant chasing down everything. And I think it becomes like it's one more thing.
I think this has to do, even post-Me Too, with the horrible attitudes millions and millions of Americans have about women. I mean, we've had these horrible stories out of Missouri with women getting pelvic exams that have nothing to do with their health care because they're trying to punish women who want to get abortions. Now you can't even get abortions in Missouri anymore. We have millions of people, many of them women, who are fine with a sexual predator. We have people who say, hey, that's okay. And the reason it's different from Clinton or JFK, we didn't know what JFK was doing when he was doing it. And when we elected Bill Clinton, we knew about an affair with Jennifer Flowers. We did not know about these assaults on women. And we elected this guy. Anyway, we don't believe women, and we still don't, apparently.
Do you buy what Amanda's saying about how deeply...
Yes, and women often do. I mean, women will be the first ones. There'll be lots of women who will say, yeah, but, you know, that's what she gets for going to a lingerie section.
Right, and we know that women aren't a monolithic voting bloc either. Women don't all vote together, and women certainly don't vote for other women. Most people don't vote based on gender. So it is very complex.
Men vote for men.
But I admit that it's a different time. And was it October of, 2016 that Weinstein broke? But here are 3 of the 15 women who have accused Trump of sexual misconduct in the past. Let's just listen to them for a second.
He turned to me and embraced me and gave me a kiss on the lips. And I remember being shocked.
The person on my right put their hands up my skirt. He did touch my vagina through my underwear.
It was a real shock when all of a sudden his hands were all over me. When he started putting his hand up my skirt. And that was it.
You know, and I believe it was the third woman to which Donald Trump said, or about whom Donald Trump said, believe me, she would not be my first choice. That I can tell you. You don't know. That would not be my first choice. I mean, I would argue, again, because the press coverage is so minimal, if not non-existent, things haven't changed that much. This is now number 16 or 21 or whatever the hell.
I think there's a leftover, like, in the movie Broadcast News, and there's that moment where he covers the rape. And there's this kind of like, Albert Brooks's character comes in and says, oh, that's so gross. Why are they talking about that? And there is still a thing where if it's talking about women's bodies or it's women talking about their experiences or their feelings, it's considered like, ew, we don't want to hear about that. Don't talk about vaginas. Don't talk about periods. Don't talk about this. Like, and so there is this like, that's not considered serious.
So maybe the problem is us. Is that where...
I don't want to, maybe.
Well, what do you mean you don't want to say
I think it is. I think
the problem is us. The problem is us.
Men.
You know, it amazes me that when this is a man who takes babies away from their mothers, babies as young as 4-month-old. We thought he wasn't doing it. He's still doing it again. He's probably cheated on his taxes. He's done all these terrible things. And millions of Americans think that's okay.
Is this going to change one vote? Are these Carroll accusations going to change one vote?
Well, the other side of it is, if you look at 2018, we had a record number of women elected to Congress, and women that may not have been into politics before are now interested, they're activated, and they're furious, and they're doing something about it. And 2020 is another opportunity for a referendum.
Will this have a shelf life come 2020?
Well, certainly the memory is pretty short when it comes to the media, but we saw in our previous research that millennial women who are swing voters feel very strongly about this, and they helped carry that election in 2018 for women.
And sometimes the media, because if you look at, like, for instance, the blue wave, where all these guys immediately declared, like, oh, it wasn't a blue wave, because they didn't cover the fact that there were all these elections still being counted. And then eventually it had to come back to, oh, it was a blue wave in 2018. And so a lot of it is also eventually they'll come back and pretend they discovered it, but it'll come back.
Can I get back to Bill Clinton for 1 minute here? I understand what we knew, the timing of what we knew, but you and I talked a lot on the radio about how when the public knew about everything, Bill Clinton was shunned. I mean, for example, in those midterm elections, he wasn't invited one place. We also went to an event downtown for Hillary and Bill Clinton. There were probably not 5 seats unsold for a couple $100. So maybe the forgiving or the ignoring of Donald Trump's worst impulses are no different than ignoring
I think your
Bill
point
Clinton's.
about millennial women is really important, because I think women my age, this is how you grew up, that you were basically going to have to run around the desk faster than your boss or whoever it was. And young women are not taking that anymore, and good for them. So I think there could be a real age difference here in how people react to this kind of thing.
Should the Democratic candidates be talking about this? They're going to be 20 of them on the stage Wednesday and Thursday night. Should they bring this up?
Well, we know that voters respond well to women candidates who embed their commitment to fighting sexual harassment. So if that's something that's important to them, they absolutely should bring it up.
And you're nodding in agreement, too. You think they should?
And Kamala Harris did did that great speech this weekend talking about his rap sheet. And it's gotten,
his rap sheet.
His rap sheet. And she's saying, I'm a prosecutor, let me prosecute him. And I think that that's very powerful. And because I do think we're having this it's like Masha Gessen talks about this.
We were talking about this today.
Oh, contemporary stuff?
Yeah, like this whole idea of like that we start to feel powerless, and the idea of if someone like Elizabeth Warren or Kamala Harris who are like, I'm going to get tough on this guy, I think that's a big relief to hear. Like,
I thought you were going to
go 15 seconds.
Masha Gessen also said things that happen right now we don't see as bad as things that happened in the past.
Right.
And that was a great point.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah.
Fair enough. We got to go. Pleasure to meet you. Thanks so much for your time.
Me.
Appreciate it, Jen. It's great.
Thanks, Jim.
And for the second time, goodbye. See you tomorrow at 11 o'clock.